Baler cord. Forgive me while I string you along for a few minutes. I often think that the British countryside would fall apart without baler cord, and just take note, this isn't binder twine, that's different. This is baler cord, and this particular cord is polypropylene. Amazing stuff, very strong, very durable, use it a lot in the garden. And we also use this stuff, which is again a polypropylene garden twine, and as you can see, this stuff very easily gets into an awful mess. It becomes a tangled web of string. Well, I'm going to try and give you a little tip now. When I worked for the ministry many years ago, not that many years ago, it's no secret that we used this natural twine, 3-ply twine, to set badger traps, and most of the trappers there had this problem. A few days rushing around, you ended up with a big spool of useless tangled mess. And a very clever chap by the name of Morris, and I don't suppose Morris is watching this, but in case he is, thank you Morris, came up with this fantastic idea. That is a pepper pot, and through the bottom or through the top I've got a hole drilled, and inside this pepper pot is a ball of string which you can pull out, and it stays clean and tidy and not knotted, if you'll pardon the pun. And there's one there, it's a curry sauce, a curry powder, tandoori curry powder, but it actually contains that same polypropylene garden twine. Just a little tip for you in keeping your string nice and clean and tidy. I suppose the other rope product I use quite a lot is this, what I would call 1/2-inch nylon rope. You can see that's nice and neatly coiled up. Not difficult to do, but it means I've always got rope on hand. And this stuff is very strong given its size. And when I was a young lad and Noah was a boy, we used to bale an awful lot of hay and straw, and every lorry driver and every farmer knew how to tie down a load. These days it's all ratchet straps. That's all people seem to be able to use, and I suppose they're great in a way, but it's a shame that the skill of tying one of these ropes down using what they call a trucker's clinch seems to have disappeared. So I'm going to tell you very briefly about a few simple knots that I use on a regular basis. I'm not going to give you tutorials on those knots because there are far more experienced and clever people than me who have made films with tutorials on how to make these particular knots, and I'll put some links into the description of this film so then you can see them. I've also got a clip coming up of me using rope like this to secure a load on the quad bike. So I'll just cut to that now. That's a trucker's clinch coming up right now. Another knot that I use on a regular basis is called a constrictor knot. There's a single constrictor knot and a double constrictor knot, and I will definitely put a link for that into the description down there. And a double constrictor knot, I'm told, is as strong as a cable tie. I use constrictor knots fairly regularly for things like hose pipe and bean canes and things like that. Very simple knot to learn, very useful knot to know. So there straight away there are two very simple knots that I think every countryman and countrywoman should know how to use. Even Mrs. Rat can do a trucker's clinch, and often does. Hopefully not with too many truckers. Anyway, another knot that I learned when I was an apprentice, when I was learning the gamekeeping trade, and thank you Malcolm, was called a Hampshire slip knot. And you basically go around your item, go over twice, bring the string up through the hole in the middle, pull it tight. You can then really ratchet that knot up tight and lock it off with a simple loop. Very useful knot to know. And by the way, just in case you're wondering, baler cord is fantastic stuff. Again, when I was a kid, you got in awful trouble with the farmer if you didn't cut the baler cord at the knot, because it meant that you'd cut off was no use for anything. It's nigh on impossible to get this thinner baler cord now from farmers that hasn't been abused by having it cut wherever they fancy. Our supplies dwindled some time ago, so we made the brave decision to go out and buy a whole spool of baler cord, and there it is. Actually, we bought 2 of them. Quite expensive what it is, given the fact that we've got used to using a waste product for so long. But there we are. We went and did it, and in the same way as the nylon string is in a pepper pot with a hole in the top, this is in a blood, fish and bone bucket with a hole in the top. So the lid snaps on, and the cord stays nice and clean and tidy, and we pull out however much we need to use. I just thought I'd share that with you very briefly, and I've reused a bucket. Look, blood, fish and bone, fantastic fertiliser, blood, fish and bone. Can't get enough of it. Anyway, I've given you 3 knots there, and hopefully I'll be able to find you 3 links to be able to do those knots if you choose to do them. But it's very important that if you are out and about, any load that you've got is secured, and obviously these are knots that you use on a daily basis. I'm not a Boy Scout. I haven't got a knot tying badge. I only really know the knots that I use, and the knots that I use are the trucker's clinch very regularly, the constrictor and the double constrictor. Constrictor knot I tend to use for bags of feed and things like that, because it comes undone very quickly and easily, and the double constrictor knot I tend to use for things that I don't want to come undone ever. Hampshire slip knot, yeah, again, it's just one of those ones. Once you've done it a few times, you soon quickly learn it. Anyway, I'll leave you in peace. Sorry to have strung you along for so long. Taddy bye.